Okay, my man Elliot Harder.
Good to see you.
Good to see you
Thanks
too.
for having me.
My man actually running for state senate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna let y'all, you know what I'm saying, get a feel for him, get to know him, and realize what he's running for. So without I cut to that, man, make sure y'all subscribe to my channel too, man. We've got to crack 1,600 subscribers on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Support. It's all about support. Without further ado, Elliot, man, tell the people about yourself and tell people where you're from.
So my name is Elliot Harding, born and raised here in Charlottesville. I'm running as an independent for state senate. It's a two-man race. My opponent's been in there for almost 30 years. I'm born and raised here, went to high school here. My dad's family's all from Fluvanna and Albemarle and Charlottesville. My mom's family's from the Valley. Went to UVA for undergrad. After bouncing around, I started off at VCU, but then ended up at UVA. And then I went to law school down at Washington and Lee, down in Lexington. Down there, met my wife. Well, at the time she was my girlfriend, but met my wife down there. Moved back here, started practicing. I do primarily criminal defense, do some civil rights stuff. I do some business litigation, but primarily criminal defense stuff. At the trial level and appeals. And I don't know, I've been doing a lot of policy stuff for a while. Up in DC, I worked in Capitol Hill for a year, writing bills, writing legislation up there. And I fought to get some stuff changed in Virginia and locally too. I used to be on the Community Services Board too, Region 10. I was on there for like 2 years.
Okay.
So I don't know, I'm born and raised here, I'm not going anywhere. Win or lose, I'm gonna be here.
For all the uneducated people that probably watching the interview, how far did the state senate actually really reach in Missouri?
So there are 40 state senate districts in Virginia, and this one's a pretty big one. It's got all of Charlottesville city. It's got about 3/4 of Albemarle County, and then it's all of Nelson, and then it goes over the mountain, and it's all of Rockbridge, where Lexington is, and it's got all of Allegheny, Bath, and Highland County. So it's 6 counties. You got the city of Charlottesville. It's got 4 colleges in it, 5 with PVCC. It's pretty rural. 65% of the voters are typically in Charlottesville and Albemarle. Yeah.
So what's your plan to actually reach all the voters though?
So, you know, because it's such a big district, I gotta be everywhere I can. I've got a lot of events, like parades, festivals. I challenged my opponent to 6 debates.
Okay.
And I said, you know, if you don't want to do the debate, we'll turn it into a town hall. So, like, I'm going to do the events anyway. You know, we've had meet and greets already. We're going to have more.
Well, yeah, I've seen a couple of meetings.
Yeah.
Shout out my homegirl Keisha at the Royal East, man.
Last Thursday, we did one at Royalty Eats. That was really good. And then, you know, as there are events around, we're going to be there.
Yeah, I caught you at the BCBA too, man.
Yeah.
Man. You definitely came on sports shop, my man, snaking them at the BCBA.
I was out there from 1:30 to 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
It was packed.
Definitely, that's a good event, man. Man, Snake got something on
Yeah.
11 years strong, man. It's only getting better too.
Oh yeah.
16 teams deep from here to Richmond to all the way kind of like Fredericksburg,
Yeah,
Virginia,
one guy
Waynesboro State.
Yeah, Roanoke too, right?
Oh yeah, there's some people from Roanoke
Yeah.
too. A bunch of people from Roanoke, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's reaching everywhere now. It's starting, you know what I'm saying?
It's good for the community, you know, and
Yeah, we had Team SweetLick in there too, man. We gotta get that stuff together too, man. We definitely had Team SweetLick in there this year.
yeah. So you know, we'll be having one thing we're gonna do is I think we're gonna try to have a tailgate for the Florida State UVA football
What's the
game.
date on that?
It's the 14th.
14, man. Let's line up, man.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
What time it is?
It'll be fun. That'll be a night game.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be there.
So-
I'm definitely gonna be there.
We got a good team this year, so we'll have stuff. You know, the election's on November 5th, so it's only some like 72 days away or something like that. So you know, we're gonna be everywhere all at once, really.
So, what do you think your chances are of actually winning though?
You know, we're getting stronger every day. I'm an underdog. I know that. The guy's been
You're actually
off.
independent. I forgot to add that. You're
Yeah.
actually independent. You run as independent.
Yeah. There's no Republican in the race, so it's me against a Democrat. He's been in office for like 30 years, and he's got a voting record that I'm to the left of him on some stuff. I'm to the right of him on some stuff, depending on the issue. You know, and I think the district has changed a lot over time. think the parties have too. I think people are kind of over the party stuff. I think it puts people against each other, and it puts people in boxes, really, and people get distracted through some of the party politics stuff where they just turn each other off, they quit listening. And so I'm running as an independent in order to kind of cut through some of that noise so that we can actually start focusing on what's going on.
So what are some of your main issues that you really want to stand by?
So my number one issue is criminal justice reform. It's not just because it's what I do that every day as a defense attorney. But I've had family who's been through the system, been locked up. I've had family who's in law enforcement. So I've kind of seen all sides of it. I think that it's the number one issue that goes unsolved. I think every day, everybody that gets touched by it loses a little bit more of their voice. And it's not just the defendant, it's also their family. So if a mom has to be anxious and stressed because she's trying to help her son out through the system, that's a little bit of time and money and energy that she doesn't have to focus on the family or her house or her bills. And that same way with kids, if a dad or a mom gets removed from the house.
Especially dads, man.
Yeah.
Removed from the house.
It's destroyed families, and I think nonviolent. So criminal justice reform is my number one deal. Someone might say, what do you mean by that? We could do an entire interview talking about that one issue, but I'll give you a few ideas. There are the bigger things, I think cannabis should be legalized. I think, we arrested 29.
I'll repeat that one more time.
I do think weed should be legalized. Last year we arrested 29,000 people in Virginia for weed. Cost of Virginia $63 million. It's a 20-year high of arrests. Meanwhile, you go out to California or Colorado or Oregon and people are on the cover of magazines making billions of dollars, and it's why are we doing that? Why are we wasting our money?
So we kind of behind is what you're saying.
Oh, we're real behind. So that's that's a big issue. I'm against the death penalty. We still have innocent people behind bars that we're getting out, yet we're sending people. Those are big ones. But then there are things smaller things that really add up. I think if you're found not guilty, your arrest and your charges should be expunged automatically. Why is that on a record? It's been proven that you're not guilty of it. Why do I have to have that? That shouldn't exist. Things like that. I think body cam footage should be used all the time.
Definitely.
I think
I got a situation to deal with that right now.
Yeah.
So.
I could talk about criminal justice all day, but that's my number one deal. The second thing is the schools. I think we've got an outdated system of the way that our schooling is done, where it's based on property, it's based on where you live, and property taxes are the things that fund the schools primarily. And so over time, they've restricted, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you had redlining where people could live in particular areas, and then that set up to where they were going to schools. And over time, people with the money are able to move out of a particular area and all really focus on their one school. Meanwhile, the other schools are struggling.
But they got the funding.
And you can't get out of that, And so what I think is I'd like to see a little bit more autonomy, a little bit more choice coming into it, where if you're below the poverty line or 300% of the poverty line, if you're at risk, you got behavioral issues or mental health issues or special needs, you should be able to take some of those funds and maybe go to a charter school, even get to a point where you could go to private school if that's what you want to do. Maybe you can use that money for some tutoring or independent stuff. Right now, we force people into a box, and everybody thinks it's just due to a lack of funding, but that isn't the issue. If funding was going to solve it, we would have solved it already. Our area's got some of the most well-funded schools, but the achievement gaps are getting bigger. So that and the school-to-prison pipeline situation, stuff like that, I'm against it. So.
That's what's up, man. What else you want to tell the people the reason why you want to?
I'm running at the end of the day. You got not just my opponent, but you got a system right now where people are being either told who to vote for and how to vote based purely on party stuff, but the parties keep letting people down. The Democrats aren't going to fix anything. The Republicans haven't fixed anything. So you kind of have to break that up a little bit. And a lot of people, are used to the status quo, or they get tired of it and then they quit. A lot of people just quit. They're like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't believe in it. My vote doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, they prey on that. That's what the people want. I mean, that's what the people in power want. They don't want you voting. And so for me, I want people to know I'm here, born and raised here. I got family here. I'm not going anywhere. So, you know, I am an underdog. He'll always have more money than me. He's been in power for like 3 decades. But if you really want to shock the system and go in there and have an independent voice who's going to speak on behalf of people rather than some party label, I'm your candidate, and we can shake it up. You know?
That's what I like. That's my favorite word, shaking things up.
Shake it up, yeah.
But definitely, man. Oh, you actually on the radio today too, man. Can you tell other people about that too?
Yeah, I was on 101.3 jams. From, you know, they have their 12 to 3 o'clock show. I was on there today. I think between it was about 1:30 to about 2:15 today.
Yeah, shout out my people on there. What's the name of the show again?
Well, I was with Charles Lewis.
Yeah, shout out Charles and my man Tank and them.
Yeah, it was a good show. Check it out. I hope to get back on there when I can. And you know, we're going to be around a lot. You know, hopefully in the community a lot. All the August events are kind of wrapping up, but follow us on Facebook. And
about the website on next, but how can people reach you?
Yeah.
Contact with.
So Facebook is Harding for State Senate. Twitter, it's Harding, the number 4 VA. Instagram, the same, Harding 4 VA. And then internet, our website is hardingforva.com. And you can follow us. We're pretty active on social media. You check us out, you know, give us a like. If you want to come to an event, come check us out, you know. And if you don't want to come to an event, we'll probably be knocking on your door, or you'll see yard signs, you know. Kind of stay up to date with us. Stay plugged in.
Definitely, man. Y'all know where to find me at, man. SweetLick came on everything. I am SweetLick on IG. Follow my promo account on IG, SweetLick Promo on Twitter. My regular account on Twitter, SweetLick King. Rico Hunters on Facebook. My fan page is SweetLick Entertainment. Make sure you go like the page, man. Like I said again, subscribe to the channel. More SweetLick weeklies to come. My man Elliot, before we get out of here, man, what's your last words?
Thanks for having me on here. I always appreciate what you do.
We actually go back, man. We didn't even know we actually go back. We know a lot of same people and stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is one of those things where I've already learned, this is what I'll say. The politics stuff, people try to paint a particular picture, you know, to fit their narrative. But at the end of the day, ask people that have been here in the city what needs to be fixed, and ask people if they know me, and if they don't, I bet they know somebody that I do know. Because it's a small town at the end of the day. People try to treat it like it's some thing that's more, I love it. I love the area, I love Charlottesville and Albemarle, but we're more connected based on us being locals and neighbors and growing up here and playing sports and knowing everybody than any party label or anything like that. And so I would just ask people to kind of really come home, raise your voice on November 5th, that's election day, and
Vote or die, but make sure you get out there and vote, man.
Yeah, and if you're not registered to vote, no reason not to. It's not something that just, you know, rich people do. It's not something that, you know, is useless. I've heard that. It's sad to me. It's sad to me when people say, oh, my vote doesn't count. Again, that's what they want you to think. So if you don't go vote, your voice won't count.
And we've seen that what happened in the last election with Trump.
Exactly. And in Virginia, it came down to 1 vote. Down in like the Suffolk area, I think, it was tied. And they had to pull a name out of a hat in order to win it. Like, that's how close these things can get. So,
I didn't know that. We told me something new today.
Yeah, we're going to try to shock the world and beat this, you know, beat the system.
Yeah, I'm behind you, bro. I'm definitely behind you,
Hell
man.
yeah.
You got my support, man. T-shirts, you know what I'm saying? We definitely on site.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Vote for hard, man. Make sure you vote for hard,